So, a couple of these guys have bet totals on the Nationals.
Over 70.5.
And there are greater expectations than the last couple of seasons, but not necessarily great expectations. But let's start on the positive. So Mackenzie Gore is the opening day starter.
Yes.
What can fans expect from Gore this year? Is this guy going to potentially be like all-star level, one of the better pitchers?
He's always had that ability, and it's been about him working through kind of the emotional ups and downs. He's a very fiery guy on the mound. He's a very competitive guy. He expects a lot out of himself, and I think sometimes in the past that would hinder him, that something would go wrong. He'd give up a blue pit. He'd walk a guy, and it would maybe spiral a little bit on him because he got outside of himself. He's dialed that in over the last year plus, and he struggled last year. And I think a lot of times you talk to big leaguers, and everyone's going to struggle in the major leagues. It's about how you respond to those struggles. Most of the second half of last season, he did not pitch well. His final, I think it was 7 starts of the year. He pitched to like a 1.15 ERA or something crazy. Like he had the lowest hits per 9 total of any starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. He ended the year on a run. Yeah. And I think there's high hopes for him.
So his overall numbers look decent based on
they
those
look decent.
Yeah.
3.9 ERA, high strikeout total. But for him, it's about how can I be more consistent from start to start? We know that the highs are going to be really, really high. How can he bring that floor up a little bit? And how can he pitch deeper into games more consistently? How can he get six and 2/3 innings out of his 105 pitches as opposed to struggling to get through 5 on some starts?
Right. How do you feel about today going against that lineup?
I mean, anytime you go against this version of the Phillies with Zach Wheeler on the mound and as deep of a lineup as they have, they're a formidable opponent. But I think the Nationals as a whole are feeling confident coming out of spring. I think they feel like they can surprise some people this year. And it's a super competitive division. We know this with the Phillies and the Mets and the Braves. But this team has more talent on it than it's had the last few years. And you've got guys that are starting to establish themselves now.
Right.
And you add in Nathaniel Lowe, who I think is going to be a really good piece over there at first base defensively and a Silver Slugger in the past. You get Josh Bell back. Paul DeYoung hit 24 home runs last year. Put him at third base where he's a great defender. I think the improvements this offseason to go along with these guys getting more comfortable, the younger guys, I think this team could surprise people.
So the starting lineup or starting outfield today will be Cruz, Young, Wood.
Yes.
Left, center, right.
Cruz and right, Young and center.
Wood and left.
Yes. Same as last year.
Okay.
Cruz ultimately, I guess it depends on how good Jacob Young is.
That's right.
Is he ultimately a center fielder?
I think you talk to front office people, and a guy like him has more value in center field because he can play a great defense and his overall, typically corner outfielders, you want maybe a little bit more pop in the bat. So his offensive skill set maybe puts him in center field in some people's eyes, but Jacob Young, he should have won a Gold Glove last year.
Yeah, he was really good.
So we'll see how all that plays out. But Dylan Cruz, a lot of people are really... We had Mark DeRosa on our podcast that's dropping tomorrow, the 11th Inning podcast with Kolko and Zim. Little plug there.
Yeah, of course.
He said
DeRosa's awesome.
He's the best. MLB Network host, former National. He said he's picking Dylan Cruz to win the NL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And that's over Roki Sasaki, who the Dodgers pitcher. A lot of people are really high on Dylan this year.
So C.J. Abrams has been really good, young player. He had his little, I don't know what you call it, his casino trip that ended with a suspension. Do you expect him to take it to another level?
Another guy, kind of like Mackenzie, that the highs have been very high. I mean, he made the All-Star team last year.
His first half was really good.
He had 2 out of the first 3 months of last season. His numbers were among the best 10 hitters in baseball. And again, it's about like, how can we be more consistent? How can we raise that floor so that even if we're not hitting, 10 bombs in a month and slugging a ton, that the batting average isn't 160 and reaching base at a 200 clip. He doesn't walk a lot, so you would love, with a guy of his speed and ability to be dynamic on the base paths, for him to just be on base more consistently somehow. How can he hit, 260 at a consistent level as opposed to the fluctuations between the really highs and the really lows? But like Mackenzie, the talent is there.
Right.
And he came to spring with a great head on his shoulders and looking ahead, not behind, and ready to attack this year and solidify himself.
In June last year, he hit 373.
Yeah.
In August, he had 176.
Yeah.
And I believe in September, it was in that one range, too. Hold on, I got it right here.
Yeah, second
he had
half
187 in August. So
and a lot of
July,
first pitch
August,
swinging, and that works when you're hitting homers on the first pitch of the game, but when you're not and you're the leadoff hitter, like, just needs to be more consistent. And I think everybody expects that he can, and he will.
Right. What are your projections on James Wood and his numbers? Because he was killing the ball in the spring.
Yes.
And I've seen projections at 19 homers, 21 homers. I think he can get over that.
Feels low to me.
Feels low. I think he can get in the mid-20s, but what are your projections for him?
He had, 8, 9 last year in less than half of a full season, and I think another guy, it's really important to get these guys experience at the big leagues and then give them a full year. And that's what James got. That's what, to a lesser extent, Dylan Cruz got last year. I think James has the potential to have a huge year.
Yeah.
If he can bring that strikeout rate down a little bit, everything is loud. Like you hear the expression, it's a different sound off his bat. That's James Wood.